Aria Lorne never imagined her life would shrink down to a single suitcase and a folder of overdue bills, but here she was standing outside the glass tower of Hawthorne and Vale Enterprises, clutching both like they were the last pieces of a world she was desperately trying to keep from collapsing. She wasn't supposed to be here. She wasn't supposed to need help. She wasn't supposed to start over at 27 with no safety net, no home, and barely any dignity left. But life didn't care about supposed tos. The revolving doors whispered open as she stepped inside, the marble floors gleaming like the ground itself was mocking her reflection. She tightened her grip on the thin gray blazer she'd borrowed from her cousin. It didn't quite fit. It was too tight in the shoulders, too loose near the waist, but she told herself that if she stood confidently enough, no one would notice. Today was her final chance. If she didn't land this job, this temporary contract position that had hundreds of applicants, she didn't know what tomorrow would look like. She approached the front desk, her pulse thudding like a drum inside her throat. "Hi, I'm Aria Lorne," she said softly. "I'm here for the administrative trainee role." The receptionist, a polished woman in a cobalt blouse, with hair sleek enough to reflect the fluorescent lights, gave her a measured glance. "One moment, Miss Lorne." Aria nodded, trying to ignore the tremble in her fingers. Her last job at a local bookstore had folded when the owner got sick. Before that, she worked part-time at a tiny marketing firm that shut down during restructuring. It felt like the universe was playing some cosmic game of Jenga, with her life pulling out piece after piece until the tower came crashing down. Her phone buzzed weakly, a reminder about her rent payment already late. Her stomach tightened. "Ms. Lorne," the receptionist said, "you may take the elevator to the 42nd floor. Director of Staff Operations will be right with you." "Thank you," Aria whispered, stepping toward the elevator. As the doors closed, she caught her reflection again. Brown eyes tired from weeks of sleepless nights, hair pulled into the simplest bun she could manage, and a face that looked braver than she felt. Just get through the interview, she told herself. Just breathe. The elevator chimed at the 42nd floor. The hallway stretched out in glossy white, modern, intimidating. Each door had a gold-plated nameplate. Each office revealed people who looked perfectly put together. Aria swallowed, moving toward the waiting room. A handful of other candidates sat inside, all sharp suits, all perfect hair, all confidence. She sank into a seat quietly. Minutes passed long, heavy minutes that twisted her stomach tighter with each tick. Then a voice echoed from the hallway. "Aria Lorne?" She stood so quickly she almost dropped her folder. "Yes, the Director of Staff Operations." Woman named Patricia Wiles Stern, impeccable, every line of her navy suit crisp, nodded for Aria to follow. The interview room was cold enough to make Aria shiver. "Your resume is unconventional," Patricia said flatly, flipping a page. Aria forced a polite smile. "Life hasn't been very conventional for me lately." "Indeed," Patricia's eyes felt like X-rays. "We need reliability, punctuality, discretion. The CEO values order." Aria nodded, though she had no idea what their CEO valued beyond rumors ruthless, brilliant, intimidating, private. The name that seemed to sit above the entire city like a shadow, Cassian Vale. Nobody met him unless invited. Even fewer understood him. Patricia continued. "This role involves handling sensitive documents, fast-paced scheduling, and occasionally assisting with top-level meetings." "I'm willing to learn," Arya said quickly. I work hard, really hard, and I don't give up easily. Patricia paused. Something flickered in her expression, not approval, but recognition. Determination is useful here, she said. But so is resilience. Arya's heart pounded. I have that too. Patricia closed the folder. We'll be in touch. It was the 4 most painful words of Arya's life. She gathered her things, her chest sinking as she left the office. We'll be in touch meant it's not happening. She knew it. She'd heard it before, too many times. By the time she reached the lobby, the reality weighed on her so heavily that she couldn't even pretend to stand straight. She walked toward the exit slowly, her vision blurring at the edges. She was almost at the revolving doors when someone collided with her. A firm hand gripped her elbow, steadying her. Careful. The voice, low, smooth, controlled. Arya blinked, lifting her gaze, and froze. He was tall, sharply built beneath a black suit tailored to absolute precision. His eyes, ice gray with the faintest hint of something darker, watched her with a calm intensity that made her breath catch. His hair, dark and slightly tousled, looked like it didn't dare fall out of place. His presence alone made the air feel different, heavier, richer, charged. Are you all right? He asked. Arya swallowed. Yes, I wasn't looking. His eyes swept over her, not in a way that made her feel small, but in a way that made her feel seen, fully, completely. She stepped back, cheeks warm. Sorry, I shouldn't have. What's your name? He asked. Her heart stuttered. Arya. His jaw shifted slightly, as if the name did something to him. Arya, he repeated, and the way he said it, soft, deliberate, felt like a touch. She nodded awkwardly and turned toward the doors, needing to escape the embarrassment, the humiliation, the disappointment. But before she could step away, Miss, he said again. She paused. What position did you apply for? She blinked, confused. Administrative trainee. He studied her a moment longer, eyes unreadable. Then he said quietly, I'll keep that in mind. Arya's breath faltered, because now she recognized him. She had just run into Cassian Vale, the CEO whose signature sat on every contract, whose power shaped every decision, whose face rarely appeared anywhere except business magazines. The man people whispered about, but almost never spoke to. And he had spoken to her. She stepped outside into the cold, trying to understand what had just happened. She didn't know that within the hour, Cassian Vale would pull her resume from the stack himself. And she didn't know that the moment he said her name, he felt something shift inside him he couldn't explain. Arya didn't expect the call. She wasn't even near her phone. When it rang, she was standing in a cramped grocery aisle, comparing prices on instant noodles, trying to stretch the last few dollars she had. When she saw the number, she almost dropped the package in her hand. Hawthorne and Vale Enterprises, the caller ID read. Her pulse jumped. She swiped to answer. Hello. A calm voice replied, Ms. Lorne, this is Patricia Wiles. Are you available to begin work tomorrow morning? Arya almost choked on her own breath. Yes, absolutely, I can be there. Anytime, whenever you need. 8 sharp, Patricia said. Punctuality is crucial. You'll receive your temporary badge at reception. Temporary. Arya didn't care it was a chance, the first real one she'd had in months. She barely slept that night. Every scenario flashed through her mind, messing up paperwork, tripping in front of executives, getting fired on the first day. But underneath all the fear was something else, a memory of ice-gray eyes looking at her like she mattered. She told herself she was being ridiculous. Cassian Vale probably forgot about her the second she walked out the door, but fate had a strange sense of timing. The next morning, Arya arrived 10 minutes early. Her outfit was simple black trousers, a white blouse, and that same borrowed blazer, but she held herself straighter this time. Hope had a way of doing that. Patricia met her near the elevators. "We're short-staffed today," she said briskly. "You'll be assisting with various departments. Adaptability is key." Arya nodded. "I'll do my best." She was assigned to the executive floor, organizing files and preparing meeting packets. It was fast-paced, demanding, and far more intense than anything she'd done before, but she pushed through every second. Around noon, she realized something odd. Every so often, she felt eyes on her, not in a predatory way, not even in a curious way. More like someone was observing her, quietly, thoughtfully. She tried to shake the feeling until she walked into the printing room and froze. Cassian Vale stood there, alone, no assistants, no board members, no entourage, just him. He turned when he heard the door, and those storm-gray eyes locked onto her instantly, as if he'd been waiting for her, or noticing her long before she noticed him. Arya's breath hitched. "Mr. Vale, I'm sorry. I didn't know anyone was—" "It's fine," he said softly. He held a stack of documents in one hand, but his attention wasn't on them. It was on her. "You started today," he said, though it didn't sound like a question. "Yes," she whispered. "Oh, I didn't expect to get the position." His gaze flickered, something unreadable in it. "You should get used to being chosen." Her heart tripped over itself. "I am just trying not to mess anything up," she said truthfully. Cassian stepped closer, not enough to invade her space, but close enough that she felt the quiet force of him. "You're doing fine," he murmured. "Better than fine." Every word curled warmth through her chest. She didn't know it yet, but Cassian had been watching her all morning, not out of concern, not out of suspicion, but because something about Arya Lorne made the world around him finally feel alive.